And we're going to use some base 10 blocks. So we're going to do some drawing. This is what you worked on last week. It was the first drawing lesson that you did when we were adding decimals. So that was last week. Yes. So doing the same thing today, except we're going to be subtracting. So we're going to put the first number, we're going to draw it out in our base 10 blocks. And then the second number, instead of adding more base 10 blocks to it like we did last time when we were adding, we're going to take some away because we're subtracting. Okay, so same idea, and if you understood last week's lesson, then you should be just fine with today's. We're just doing some drawing. Let's see, so this is just one more tool for you, how you can use place values and properties to subtract some decimals. Do you think you are going to want to draw a picture for every single subtraction problem? Probably not, but at least it's going to give you that background information to help you when you're trying to figure out, like when when we are doing subtraction, and say you're subtracting the ones from the ones, and it's not enough. Remember how you have to borrow from the column next to it? So when you have to borrow next to it, that's what I'm going to be showing you why we're doing that as we're drawing the pictures. Okay, so drawing these pictures are going to help you figure out why it is we do that borrowing and what it means we're actually doing. All right, here's your problem of the day. Brianna's got 6 dimes, 4 quarters, and 2 nickels. She spends $1.35. So how much does she have now? So think about that. If you have a whiteboard marker, you can use that and use your whiteboard. If you don't, then just use your a little corner of your note paper. So she's got 6 dimes, 4 quarters, and 2 nickels, and then she spends $1.35. Figure out how much she has left. If Brianna has 6 dimes, how much would that equal? How much would 6 dimes equal, Amy? 60 cents. That's how you'd write 60 cents, right? If she's got 4 quarters, how much does that equal? $1. 100. Some people, yeah. If you did like 25 times 4, then you would get 100, which really is, when we're talking about money, we mean $1. And then what would 2 nickels be? 2 nickels.
10 cents.
10 cents. So that looks like this. And so if I add those amounts up, which some of you might have done that part in your head, you might have done that part. 6 plus 0 plus 1 is 7. Bring down my decimal point. 0 and 1 is 1. So she has a total of $1.70, but that's not my answer, right? Because my answer has to be, after she spends $1.35, then how much is left? So there's a couple different ways to solve this one. If you're trying to do it in your head, maybe you will count up from $1.35. Did anybody do the count up method when they were subtracting? Because counting up is a way that you could subtract as well. If you start with the lower number and you count up to the higher number, that's one of the skills you might have learned a couple years ago. So if you count it up, you would go from $1.35, let's say, up to $1.40. That's 5 cents. And then between $1.40 and $1.70, that's 30 more cents. So that would be 35 cents, right? The other way you could do it is $1.70 minus $1.35, and then we're going to subtract. So here's an example of what I mentioned a minute ago. Today's lesson, I'm going to show you why drawing a picture kind of helps you understand what it is you're doing. So I have 0 hundredths, and I need to take 5 hundredths away, but I can't take 5 hundredths away if I don't have any. So I take one of these tenths, and I'm going to turn it into hundredths. So now I only have 6 tenths, and I have 10 hundredths. Okay, because I took a 10 block away, and I broke them apart and made it 10 hundredths. So now I can subtract. 10 minus 5 is 5. 6 minus 3 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. So then your answer should be 35 cents. So I just showed you 2 ways. One way you could do it in your head by counting up. The other way you could do by actually just figuring out the problem by subtraction. I just wanted to show you how borrowing is one of those ways that, one of those things that sometimes people do it, but they're not really sure why they're doing it. So that's what we're doing today. Yes, Nolan?
I didn't do it that way.
Tell us what you did.
I didn't do it either way. What I did was, okay, I did this. Okay, so 4 quarters was $1. I knew that. So I took $1 off of the 135, okay? And then I made 35 cents using 3 dimes and 1 nickel. And then I had 3 3 dimes, and 1 nickel. So that was 35 cents left.
So you see how he did that? So he did it a little bit differently. That's okay too, because you got the same answer as I got too. So as long as you get the same answer, everybody kind of has a different way to do it. Anthony.
I got 1.29, but how I got that is because I did 2.64 minus 1.35.
Okay, well the 264 was where you went wrong. So the 264 was the wrong thing. So because it's not just a 2 in the ones place, a 6 in the tens place, and a 4 in the hundreds place, that's what you did. Instead, you needed to read the directions really closely. 6 dimes is 6 times 10 because a dime is worth 10 cents. 4 quarters would be $1 because each quarter is worth 25 cents. So you have to add up the amounts, not just see what numbers you have and make that into a number. That's why you got the wrong answer. All right, let's look at your notebook and let's take some notes. Let's see. This lesson is a little bit different because it's a hands-on lesson. Yeah, this is your first example. So let's just do, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's do this one on the homework page, or on your assignment paper, and then we'll do this example and the second example, and then we'll do one of the other ones in your notes, and then you can just copy the answer over onto your assignment. So here's what I want you to do. Listen up. You're not going to know because you're talking. I want you to look at your first page of your examples. So we're going to look at the build it example, which looks like what's on the screen here. And then we'll do the practice it one, which is the next one. And then we'll do one in our notebook. So don't put your notebook away. We'll just do this one first because it's here. So in this example, they've already drawn the first number for us. And so the question is to find 1 8/10 minus 4/10. Put this away. Make sure you're paying attention. Watch what we're doing. So do you see the 3 boxes? Ones, tenths, hundredths. So we drew a square in the ones box because we have 1 whole. We have 8 tenths, which is why I put an 8. I put 8 longs there in the tenths place. And then there's nothing there in the hundredths place. Since we're taking 4/10 away from the 1 8/10, so 1 8/10 has been drawn here for you already, which is nice because then you don't have to do it. We're going to use your pencil and we're going to scratch out some of the other numbers that we see there. So because we're going to take 4/10 away. Remember, we're not adding this time, we are subtracting. So you've already drawn out the 1 8/10, it's already there for you. Now we're going to take our pencil and we're going to scratch out 4/10 because we're going to take those away. That's what we do when we are subtracting. So now we have to see what we have left, and then that's going to become our answer. So how many ones do we have left? How many?
1.
1. So then my decimal point. How many tenths do we have left? Amy? 4. And no hundredths, right? Still no hundredths. So then our final answer is 1 4/10. So this seems pretty easy, right? Because all we're doing is drawing the first number and then taking away the second number. The part that gets difficult is if they want you to take away tenths and you don't have any tenths, then you're going to have to borrow something from another box. So that's the part where it might become a little bit tricky. Anthony, what's your question?
Why didn't you use the ones that are blacked out?
This number right here, the 4/10, is what that represents. So I took 4/10 away from my total number. The 1 8/10 is what I drew here in orange. And the 4/10 is what I took away because I'm subtracting. So I scratched them out to try to represent that I'm taking them away, since I can't erase them from here. Okay? So you have 1 4/10 is your final answer. Let's look at example number 2. We're going to find, oh sorry, this is the same example.
Yeah, you have to write all that.
We just have to write all that. So we're going to count. So when you're doing your work today, do you see how on the last screen you had this big square that was there that represented the 1, then you had the 8 longs that represented the 8/10. Then we just scratched some out. Sometimes with all of the examples, they do a whole lot of extra steps and a lot of extra work. that's really all I need you to do. So you draw the first number, and then you scratch out everything that's you're subtracting, and then you see what's left. This one says you're going to count the remaining base 10 blocks. So our result after we counted them was 1, 1, and 4 tenths. So we had 1, 1 left. We did this, we just didn't write it down. We talked about it. We had 4 tenths left, which would give you 1 and 4 tenths. And as they say down here, if you want to check your answer, you can check what you have left at the end, and then you can, if you added it to what you took away, you should go back, get back what you had at the beginning. So if you go in reverse, you should have the opposite if you go back in reverse. Oh, they have a box. So on yours, this area right here, you've got a box where you could draw that in. And I think they do that on everyone. Remember when we've talked about this before, so I understand your concern. This is another tool for you, and really the reason okay, so on today's lesson you do have to draw it. In the future, you can choose whether or not you want to. I'm going to tell you why this lesson is important though. So why we didn't skip this lesson, why this lesson is important for you to hear. Because when we start to borrow, people borrow all the time, right? You've been doing that since like 2nd grade when you learned how to subtract. But the thing is once you start borrowing, sometimes people don't realize what it is you're actually doing. And so that's why drawing the pictures, it's not just crossing out a number and making it something else and adding a 1 over here. That's what you do, but this is to show you why you're doing it. So it's the why behind what you're doing. And so for some people, they don't really want to know the why, they just want to know the answer to the question, which I understand. But this is math class, and we're trying to make sure that you understand why you're doing it. It's important because you're going to be doing it for a long time. That's why. So look at the practice it, or try it, sorry, try it. Practice it's what we'll do in your notes. So here's your try it model. You have 2 25 hundredths minus 75 hundredths. So this number right here is our first number in our subtraction problem, and that is what is illustrated here by the model, okay? Nod your head if you get that that's where we got all the orange models there. It came from the first number. 2 ones, 2 tenths, and 5 hundredths. Do you see how we've drawn all of that? Now we're going to take 75 hundredths away. So we're going to start just like we do when we're doing a subtraction problem. We're going to start all the way to the right when we're taking things away. So can we take 5 hundredths away from what you see here?
Yes.
We have 5 hundredths there, so we could take them away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now those are gone. And now we need to take 7 tenths away. Can we take 7 tenths away?
No.
No, there's not enough there. See how there's only 2 tenths in that box? So we're going to borrow from the ones and move those over here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is no more, and I've taken that 1 and I scooted it over to the next column and I turned it into tenths. We've done a lesson like this before with whole numbers. If you remember, we've done this with whole numbers, where we had ones, tens, and hundreds, and we had to draw. Now we're doing the same thing, except we're using decimals. We're using ones, tenths, and hundredths. So now I can take 7 away, right? Because now I have 1 here, 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I have taken 7 tenths away. And now I can see what I have left. So I have 1, 1. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths. And I have no hundredths. So this is my picture of that. And so I have 1 and 5 tenths. Yes, go ahead. Okay, so everybody see the borrowing? The borrowing is the part that it could become tricky if you aren't drawing neatly or you're not making sure you keep everything in a nice straight line. So they do give you the boxes today that say my drawing, and they give you the little place value charts that look just like this with the ones, the tenths, the hundredths, so that you can keep everything right there in the box nice and neat. Because if you don't have everything in there neatly, that's where you accidentally make some mistakes. So yes, so on the lesson, the difference is that these are blank boxes and you have to actually draw in the first number and then you have to take them away. Okay, so that's how it's going to look a little bit different. You're going to have to draw it. So we had 1 left. We had 5 tenths and 0 hundredths, which makes 1 and 5 tenths. You could put the 0 in the hundredths place, but you don't really need that one there, right? Because it's a 0. And if you wanted to use addition to check your answer, we know how to add decimals, so you can always line those decimal points up and you can add them together if you wanted to check your answer.
I direct the size.
Now before, let's see, I guess it would kind of be double work if I made you write this on the page and then write it again in your notes. So let's just write it on the page. With the hands-on lessons, it's always a little different because they don't give us all the same slides. So let's just look at your note, or sorry, not at your notes. We'll look at the assignment. Let's go to the first example. So instead, since we aren't able to do a lot of examples in our notes, we'll just do it right here. So look at number 3. We're going to do 3 and 4 as a couple more examples. Since we normally do a few in our notes, instead, we may as well start on the assignment together. So let's see what we have. We have 8 tenths, and we're going to subtract 3 tenths. So now we have to draw it. Do we have any ones? We're going to start, remember, with this first number. No ones, right? And how many tenths do we have? 8 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So a way to keep them nice and organized, I know that a lot of times people do this. We shouldn't do that for this because it's hard to take that away then. Once you've done a line all the way across, it's hard to take it away. So instead, I did 5 in a row, and then I went to the next row and did 3 more. That way, when you're doing your counting, you don't mess up on your counting. Okay? So let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to take 3 tenths away from that. Can I do that?
Yes.
Yes? Don't need to borrow, right? Because I'm going to just take these 3 away. So how many tenths do I have left? 5. 5 tenths. That's it.
Wait, why did he take the bottom one?
I just took away 3. I just needed to take away 3. And the reason why I know I need to take away 3 is because of that number right there. So the first number is,
Wouldn't it be 0.7?
well, if I have 8 tenths and I take away 3 tenths, I have 5 left. This is what I drew. I had 5, 6, 7, 8. They're all in the tenths box. I had 8 tenths. That's what this first number represents. Then I took 3 of them away, right down there. And then all I have to do is count up what I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 left. 8 minus 3 is 5, isn't it? That's basically what I did on that one. Okay, now this one has some ones. So the first number here is what I draw. So I have 2 ones. And I have 8 tenths. And then I'm going to take away 7 tenths from that amount. So now I'm going to look in the tenths box, and I'm going to take 7 of those away. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then we can see what I have left, because now I've done all my subtracting. So how many ones do I have left? How many, Malachi?
1.
How many ones right here in this ones column?
2.
Because I didn't have to take any from, I didn't have to borrow or anything like that in this question. So I still have 2 ones, and I only have 1 tenth left because I took the other ones away. So then that would be my answer. Nod your head if these two made sense.
Yeah, I have easy.
Okay, good. We're gonna skip ahead and try to do one where there's some borrowing, because those are always the harder ones.
Oh, I know one.
Okay,
Number 7 does.
which one?
Number 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, 6 you have to borrow. Wait, let's see. Yes, 6 you have to borrow.
And 7.
All right, so let's try number 6 together. The borrowing ones are always a little trickier. So if I have 2 and 17 hundredths, that means 2 ones, 1 tenth, and 7 hundredths. So it is important to make sure that you illustrate the number correctly, right? You want to make sure that you model that first number right, because if you don't, then when you try to take something away from it, then it's going to make it even harder. So now I'm going to take, remember I have to start all the way to the right. So I'm going to start this time with my tenths. That's the thing you have to remember when you're subtracting. You don't want to start with the big number and subtract like the ones. You want to start with all the way to the right. whether it's hundredths or tenths. So in this case, we're talking about tenths. So we need to take 9/10 away, but we only have 1/10 there. So what do we do, Angelina?
We use one of the ones blocks.
That one right there.
And we move it to the tenths and put 10 blocks.
10 blocks. So this one right here is going to turn into 10 tens, so that I can then take 9 tens away from it. So because I only had 1/10 in there, and I needed to take 9 away, I had to borrow it from the ones. So now I'm going to take away 9. That would be, here's 5 of them, right? And 4 more. You would put 10 tenths, because 10 tenths is equal to 1 whole. So if you're borrowing from the ones, you take the 1 away, and it would equal to 10 tenths. And now I can count to see what and I also need to take away, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. What did I put a line through? What do you mean?
Well, we saw a line through that bottom.
Oh, I put a big X through it. I was just trying to cross them out. So do it whatever's maybe a glitch. Do it however the best you can to make sure that you can represent that.
How at the end did you get only 3 or 2?
Well,
Because I only crossed out 7.
but why did you cross out 7? It says 9.
Yeah, but
You need to cross out 9 tenths. That's why. You're looking at the wrong number. So now I have 0 ones, 1/10, and I still have the 7 hundredths. 0 ones, that's 2 tenths. No one even corrected me on that. 2 tenths and 7 hundredths. Everybody get that one?
Yeah.
So on that one, we had to borrow from the ones. So how many tenths are in a 1? How many tenths are in a 1? How many? How many tenths are in a 1, Malachi? I was looking at him a second ago. Malachi, how many? 10. Now I'm going to call him Malachias. How many hundredths are in a tenth? 10. That's a good number to remember on here, right? There's 10 tenths in a 1, so if you have to borrow from it, it's always going to turn to 10. And then there's 10 hundredths in a tenth. So if you borrow from the tenths over to the hundredths, it's going to be 10 also. Think of it like this. You know how you're borrowing? So if we had this number right here, I want to show you the problem underneath here as well, and then I'm going to let you get started. If I annex to 0 here, keep watching. Then I start subtracting. 7 minus 0 is 7. See how I can't do 1 minus 9? And what I do is take that away and add a 1 over here. Room 413. So let me show the phone ring. So now I'm going to try to show you what I was trying to do in the first place. Make sure you're watching, because this is the whole reason for this lesson. The reason for this lesson is so that you understand why we're borrowing. This is what you would do. If you had a 1 and you had to take 9 away, you go to the next number over, cross it out, make it a 1 now instead of a 2. That's what we did right here. Then we added another 1 here, which makes this number 11. So basically we added 10 to it, right? We made it 11. That's what I did when I added all these little ones, all these little tenths over here. Now I can subtract 11 minus 9 and I get 2. See how I have 2 left? And then I have 0 ones because I've used them all. Okay, that's what we're doing when we're drawing the pictures. This lesson is really just to show you why you're borrowing. What does it mean when you're borrowing? You're taking from one place value and you're adding it to another one. You're breaking them apart and adding it to the one next to it. Okay? So now I've done 3 examples with you from your assignment, so you don't have as many left to do. So you can start working now, and we've got 20 minutes to work. If you finish it, you're going to put it away into your binder because we're going to turn it in tomorrow, okay? Or Monday. Okay?